Hola y bienvenidos al Palante Podcast. Soy su host, Dr. Andrea Ortega, trabajando con organizaciones sin fines de lucro en Estados Unidos. I'm so excited to highlight our nonprofit leaders, change makers, and other philanthropists in our sector. Bienvenidos. Hola a todos y welcome to the Palante Nonprofits Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Andrea Ortega, and this is where we have real conversations with nonprofit leaders who are building power, shifting culture, and leading con mucho corazón. And in this episode with Leading with Corazon, Building Power as a Young Latina Nonprofit Leader in Palm Beach County, I want everybody to know what the Guatemala Mayan Center is doing, because whenever I think about how this has affected me emotionally, how this has affected the people I work with, I open their Instagram and I just see, hope and people that are really looking out for all of the people that are getting deported, separated from their families, need a hand to hold. And I talked to you a little bit the last couple months, and sometimes I cry for you. Sometimes I cry for the people you're serving. And it's really heavy, but I'm so excited to get to share your work with our listeners and the people that support Palante Nonprofits. My guest today is Mariana, or Mari Blanco. She's the Director of Operations at the Guatemalan Mayan Center, which is down in Palm Beach County in Florida. She's trilingual, community leader who spent over a decade in the nonprofit sector and in the frontline service. She's all about system strategy, but she stays grounded through the work that she does. She's a woman with really large heart. Tienes un corazón muy grande, Mari, and everything that you do, every time I see you, you bring a lot of hope. She's also a mom, a wife, all of the things. And I'm just so excited to have you here.
Really, really excited to be here with you. You've helped us a lot through our work, so it's really awesome to be here with you. Again, my name is Mari. I'm the director of the Guatemala. I was born in Mexico, raised in Miami. Now I live here in West Palm Beach, and I'm, running the day-to-day operations at the GMC, so really excited to share.
Yeah, and I want to know more about qué significa operar en el Guatemalan Mayan Center. I know a little bit, pero me encantaría compartir con los oyentes, cómo tú haces eso y trabajando con esta comunidad. Pero empecemos. Como una latina joven con mucha experiencia también en el sector y trabajando para el Guatemalan Center, y una líder progresiva en un county que muchas veces, we can say more of a red state, es más republicano, más conservativo. ¿Cómo tú has navegado, tu trabajo ahí trabajando en Palm Beach County?
Yeah, don't be afraid to say it. Palm Beach County is really conservative. I mean, as a young Latina, initially when I stepped into this role, there were a lot of side eyes, you're running the center, okay? And a lot of the nonprofit leaders have been the same for decades, and so they know each other and they mingle. Mentor has been Father Frank, and Father Frank is very, do what's right by the people, and if you're doing right by the people, you should never apologize for that. And that's kind of the page I've taken. So because of Father Frank is always kind of my introduction to these circles, I just don't feel afraid. He has kind of paved the way for me in these nonprofit circles. The more I learn about Palm Beach County, the more I learn about Palm Beach County politics, county nonprofits, I learned that there's no need to be scared. These folks run on fear. I think that that's something that separates the Guatemalan. That fear doesn't stop us. We knew very well when we entered this work and when we were talking about how we were gonna address going into this new administration that we would have a target on our backs. And we said, you know what? We're gonna do it anyway. That's a risk that we're willing to take. And that's the kind of leader I am. If I'm telling my coworkers and my teammates this is the plan, then I better be 10 toes down. I better be able to stand on what I preach. And so that's what I do. I just keep that in the back. And if it's for the people, don't apologize.
Oh my God. First of all, I found your slogan, if you ever run for office, if it's for the people. want to apologize because so as you learn about the work of the Guatemalan Mind Center and what Mari's doing, if you just even go on their Instagram, you'll see that it's that, they're reuniting families, either if they're helping them get back to their countries, because I was just talking to her earlier. There's a lot of what we don't think about too is that if the men get deported, now there's households, women, single moms, and wives who, will make the decision to just go back, even if maybe they have a different illegal status or undocumented status. When we think about who actually takes them to the airport, who actually helps the logistics of buying the plane, of packing, like that is what they're doing, And when she says like feet on the ground, this is the kind of grassroots on the ground work center does. And Mari has sat with babies of people who are doing their check-ins at the courts. And I just like when I think about, man, like that is what people need right now, a hand to hold through the scary times, through the fear that has been instilled in them. um, think about you, Mari, so thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that. um, Next question, and originally I was going to talk to you about how you kind of space, so definitely stay true to that, pero también quiero que nuestros oyentes escuchen un poquito sobre, siendo un target, either from the community or from the administration and from ICE raids, like siendo un target, how have you responded to the ongoing? Y creo que es interesante. I don't even know, do we count Palm Beach County as South Florida? I'm from Miami too, but I
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
Miami is not the Miami I grew up in. I think it has evolved so much over the
Yeah.
last years, because I remember Miami as being the place where it's okay to be from everywhere, and it was a soup of everything.
Yeah.
And to watch it even, really turn red and go that way was really surprising. But how have you responded, as a leader, as the center, like how has you been able to deal with everything that's been going on?
Yeah, and I mean, I think you gave a little bit of context. The first thing is we're seeing what nobody else is seeing, right? Palm Beach County, and this is the correct data we know a year after, but Palm Beach County has the highest number of detentions in all of the state of Florida. We are the county with the most detentions, the second county being Polk County. And we have twice the amount of detentions that Polk County has. So we are the belly of the beast in terms of detentions for families. And we saw that very early on. February, we had our first mass operation. We have Border Patrol agents, like a block away from the center, and we're following them and we're taking pictures and we're doing the whole thing, recording them. And that's kind of how we have evolved in our work. It's kind of evolved, right? In the beginning, it was Border Patrol. Towards the end of the year, it became Florida Highway Patrol. And for us, it was weird seeing Florida Highway Patrol doing this kind of work. And now it's just all law enforcement agencies because they all have an agreement with ICE. We've never done this work, I should say, right? And um, our work has evolved as times call for it to evolve. So we started off like doing the following recording, always consult with legal with attorneys, with human rights attorneys and other groups to make sure that we are not doing anything that's breaking the law. But now we're very vocal in the way that we show up. So we'll show up with signs. You've probably seen we've done a lot of things that have been happening. But yeah, we definitely felt like there's no, I mean, you're not hiding it and you're being blatant about the lies that you're telling and the news that you're spreading. So the first half of the year we weren't really great at sharing what was happening on the ground. The second half of the year we're like, yeah, we just need to blow this up, and every single time they're out there, we're out there too. So yeah, that's kind of how we've been operating, and we've just been putting them on blast. Unfortunately, we're like on first name basis with these officers because we see them so often. But yeah, we're just not letting them get away with it anymore. So a lot of city officials, I was talking to a city official from a different city the other day. She's like, "Don't you think that the target has been on your back because you've been so vocal?" She's like, "I mean, I don't want to say but you guys have been getting a lot of attention, and it seems that because you have been so vocal, you've been getting attention." And I was like, unfortunately, that's false. We had our first operation in February. Like, this is not news to us. The difference is we started being real loud about it. But yeah, that's kind of how we're responding to it. And of course, as the needs of the families evolve, para nosotros siempre lo primero son las familias.
And I should have started with this context. Why does the Guatemalan Mayan Center exist in Palm Beach County? Why is there a population there? And I think because I know you and I've worked with you, but would love to give some context there. And one of the things that has helped me too is one of the things I love about you being vocal is that you have the proof to back it up, and that you put even in your Instagram, families first, and this is how we're being a part of the solution. Because, very early on, and I deleted social media from my phone in November, October. So when I check it, it's strictly for business purposes. And one of the accounts I go is to you because of that hope that someone in there is helping these families navigate these kind of terrible separations. But one of the best things that we can do in this time is redirect our rage and our energy to one, being vocal. We have an amendment that protects our free speech, picking it up, making sure that we're there and showing why we do the work that we do. But like at the end of the day, like being here with you today, like man, at least I hope this little permission forward because if not, I'm just gonna sit here and cry all day about the children without their parents, the wives without their partners, about and one more thing before I let you talk about the context. I knew growing up, I bet you it's immigrants that built Palm Beach County. Because
Oh, yeah.
immigrants and I'm not just saying build it in, like, the economy, I'm talking about physically built all those buildings because growing up, construction workers have always predominantly been immigrants,
Yeah.
and so I think the hypocrisy that occurs, especially in Florida where these
Yeah,
big.
and I'll tell you a funny story about that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah. But, yeah, I mean, for context, the Guatemala Maya Center was found, and we don't only help Guatemalan Mayan, but we do carry all of the languages in-house that we see in our community. There was a genocide in the '80s against the indigenous Maya. The government was massacring, the indigenous Maya because, I mean, they were claiming that they were communist and that they were radicals and all of the horrible things, so they displaced them, stole their land, stole their resources, like, moved them up to the mountains, massacred them, like, I mean, it was just the most brutal kill, and it's known as the silent genocide because nobody knows about it, like, all of this happened and nobody knows about it, they have no idea, and this just happened in the '80s, it's not like so, a lot of the families started migrating, but at that time, Father Frank had a history of working with Cesar Chavez. He was trying to unionize the farm workers here in Florida, Said Cesar, while Cesar unionized them in California. He was doing that, gained a reputation of the priest of the immigrants. So with that reputation, when this genocide happened, somebody somewhere said, "In Father Frank, he's gonna help you." So the first family came to Father Frank. Father Frank is a young Irish priest. He learned Spanish through Cesar and working with the farm workers. The indigenous Maya folks spoke indigenous languages, so they couldn't communicate. But Father Frank very clearly knew from their condition. And he describes the first family that reached him is that their feet were so large, like because like they had been walking for so long. Yeah, he knew that they were seeking refuge, like, they were disheveled, he knew that they were seeking refuge, so he understood that. Then, he started going to Guatemala as more and more families started coming and seeking refuge. He's like, "What's going on?" So he started taking trips to Guatemala, and he would take these and the archdiocese was like, "Frank, great. We get it, like you're doing these great things, but you're still a priest. Like you can't just leave every Sunday. You have to give mass on Sundays." So Father Frank's like, "This is too important to be ignored. Like there's a genocide happening against these people." And so he retired as a young priest and founded the Guatemala Maya Center. Through the years, we've gotten a lot of criticism for the name, like, "Oh, you don't just help Guatemalans, and, this is bad for funding," especially at a time right now where, like, everything's so politicized and everybody's like, like, "You're gonna lose funding, you're gonna lose this, like, you're gonna lose support." And Father Frank has made it very clear that, is the one thing that belongs to the indigenous Maya, and we're keeping it. I mean, funding will come and go. We're very good at being notoriously broke. Yeah, that's never been that's a but back to, the hypocrisy that you were talking about. In Florida, culture is the second largest industry. Tourism is the first, right? So obviously, like, we are profiting off of the very people that we, like, hate, publicly. But we had a raid, mass operation, I don't know, in December. And it was Florida Highway Patrol. They were just picking everybody up. We were, all over the place. And then they attempt to raid a construction site, this massive construction site here, like a few blocks away from here. But we got a call right before. And so we happened to be there with all of our white allies at the time that they raided the site. And so we stopped the raid. And there's a lot of footage of that in a lot of different places. And so we're there and we're yelling at officers. Long story short, they don't raid the place. They can't. Like, there's too many of us. They're outnumbered. They have to leave. So now we're telling all the other, "Hey, acaban de raidar like, this other building. La migra está por aquí." And their boss comes and he's like, "Why are you scaring my workers?" And we're like, "No, no, we're just warning them, like, just giving you a heads up. ICE was just around the corner." And he's like, "Great. They're illegal. They should be taken." And we're like, "You don't even know the status of your workers. Like, you don't even know." So the workers are listening to this and we're just like, "Is he always this pleasant? Like, is he always this?" And they're like, "Yeah, sí, él siempre es así. El señor es un racista," whatever. And they walk out. And for the next couple of days, we, like, drive by his site and he has no workers. This man has no workers. Yeah, he's out here profiting off of these people. Like, he's profiting off of their labor. Sure that he's likely withheld wages from them, but yet he's, like, out here like, "Yeah, like, if they're illegal, they should be gone." We're like, "This is your workforce." But yeah, that describes Palm Beach County in a nutshell.
Oh, no, absolutely, and it's so important. I work also with the farm worker, families, all throughout Florida, like, they're everywhere, there's
Yeah.
pockets of farms everywhere, even in the cities, and I'm just like, "Those berries you eat, that organic, like, that was picked by an immigrant."
Yeah. I mean, who do they
In your day to day, like, this isn't it's so insane, the hypocrisy that exists, and,
Yeah.
you know yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's moments of where I go into, again, like, rage and desperation, and I just at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer of karma, and that's gonna take care of that, and all I have to do is redirect my energy where I think, I would have the most impact, and the most impact I have is illuminating, like, organizations that are doing the work and organizations like you. And so I'm gonna kinda merge our last 2 questions for the sake of time, Mari, even though I could talk to you all day. Pero what helps you stay grounded during this time? I'm curious, like, do you take the time to breathe? Do you hug your baby a little closer? And what advice would you give to other nonprofit leaders who are going through something like this? Like, what has helped you also, like, stay on task and be able to take care of yourself at the same time?
I know that this is so, like, "Oh, we're like a family." Our 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 group of coworkers really operates in that form, very non-traditional, and we rely so heavily on each other. We hang out on weekends. Our group chats, like, we're, like, constantly talking to each other. We all also say, kind of like joking, but kind of not, like, if you need a 5-minute cry break, come to the office and, like, cry it out, and then, there's no time for that, so, like, get back to work. Um, yeah, I mean, having a good circle of people who understand what's happening, because I think, even with some of my family and other friends that don't necessarily work in this tune out sometimes and don't fully know what's happening, but my coworkers are living the same reality as me, and so they understand and they keep me grounded. And then, of course, my baby, like, you know, seeing her every night and making sure that when I'm with her, I'm present. But then also, like, reminding myself that how privileged I am that I get to hold my baby every night. Yeah, that also just, like, gives me, the energy to make sure that when I'm at work, giving it my all, like, I have a very good support system, and when I'm not at work, she's very well taken care of. But the advice that I would give other nonprofit leaders is don't be scared. When I got into this role and we would try to engage other nonprofits in Palm Beach County, everybody's like, "No, our board doesn't let us get political." And, like, everybody would say, "No, no, we don't engage in political activism." It's important to remember that if you are a nonprofit, particularly, with the migrant population, or I mean any marginalized population, that you're serving, is political. Politics dictates who gets a seat at the table. If you are, really wanting to do right by the people that you serve, that you need to make it political, right? Like, you just need to advocate for the needs of, and, and what the people want and deserve. So, yeah, my best advice is don't be scared. Like, when you're not scared, when you do things for the right reason, others will follow. We have a meeting right now with the captain of the sheriff's department. Like, why they are wanting to speak with us is beyond us, but clearly they have something to say, right? And we have not been their biggest advocate. If you're doing right by the people, I think everything else will follow. And if you're honest with your work, el que nada debe, nada temes.
Oh my god. I love it. I almost teared up because, yes, I feel, especially at night, me siento muy privileged. Yeah, very privileged to be able to have my kids safe and, and even though, I do get scared. Soy trigueñita.
Yeah.
I've actually, even on LinkedIn, people have attacked me, for standing up for that, and it's like, wow, there's nothing you can give this country, or white people in this country that align with those values, that will ever make you good enough for them. Going through, um, I would say earlier with the administration, I was kinda going through an identity crisis. I've kind of realized I can't let them take that power from me. I am an American whether they want me to be or not, and I'm
Yeah.
also Colombian, and my kids are also, from both places. And not just because of some papers, it's because of how, I will also represent the good side of this country and what we stand for
Yeah.
and our freedoms. Anyways, so much to unravel. Before we close, and just thank you so much for your time today, Mari. Everything that you said today really continues to inspire me, and I'm rooting for you every bad,
Thank
every
you.
good moment. I'm definitely watching, and I hope the rest of the our listeners will watch too. But could you share about any current campaigns or how they can help donate your work?
Yeah, of course. Launched a Gather for Good campaign. Basically, it's to help us reunite the children that have been left behind due to family separations or detentions, deportations. We ask that you host a gathering, and whatever proceeds you gain, whether it's $5, $10, however you choose to do it, that you donate it to help us continue our work. Nobody's funding this work. Again, we're great at being notoriously broke, but of course, financial support helps. And yeah, you can find us on Instagram, on all social medias at Guatemalan Maya Center. That's also our website, guatemalmayacenter.org. But yeah, thank you so much, Andrea, for highlighting our work, highlighting everything that we do. It certainly makes us not feel that alone in
Yeah,
our work, to know that there's people that support us.
we're watching, especially for me. Again, we talk. I've thought about a long time. Like, I think people have been racist and they've just been subconsciously keeping it down for the sake of society, and
Yeah?
like, this president. And so part of me is a little sad that this South Florida, this Florida that I knew or that I got to experience growing up, kind of seems like a facade. And it was just something that I
Yeah.
was very lucky to be in. But, I think it needs to get better. It needs to get better, and I wanna thank you and the rest of your team for being a part of the solution. Gracias por estar conmigo aquí en el Palante Nonprofits Podcast, y espero que todo el mundo tome el tiempo de seguirlos y donar para ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Andrea. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to subscribe as well as like this on all of our social media. You can find us on Instagram at Palante Nonprofits and on our website at www.palantenonprofits.com. Gracias.